I've thrown for many, many years, and I just felt a small twinge in my shoulder. Thought it was nothing. We stopped the session. A couple weeks, I did some light rehab. It kept persisting, and then we got the diagnosis. But I think one of the things that was good about the whole situation was it wasn't like a new injury. It was an old injury. This rotator has been torn for 16 years. It's called the subscapularis. It's the part that's responsible on the back here for 50% of the strength in the muscle. It just got to the point where it was like, okay, doc said, okay, we need to get this fixed. So it wasn't a new injury. It wasn't like I had a good shoulder that went bad. It was a bad shoulder that got worse. But we never talked about it. It's not something you talk about. If it's not broke, you don't fix it. You don't, throw up a white flag or red flag and say, hey, we got an injury. Or, it's just something we dealt with since I've been a kid. And I've actually injured it in an amateur fight, when I was 12, 13 years old. And we just built the muscles up around it. I just dealt with it. But now that that's fixed, I got a lot more pop in this arm. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to showcase it on Saturday. So, even though it was a rough road back, I look at it like it was a positive to get that fixed finally.
So now that you're healed, you could be a more dangerous fighter?
I think so. I think I have a repertoire now that I didn't quite have before the injury. If I didn't have more strength and power in this arm, I wouldn't tell you. I'd find another creative way to tell you something else, like, hey, the arm's good, But it's stronger. It's a lot stronger.
Do you feel if it would have been 100%, we would have seen you get knockouts over these guys previously?
I mean, it's possible, but Bird brought this to my attention. It's something that we all got to look at. I don't know. I mean, in the state of boxing right now, I know everybody loves a knockout. Every fighter loves a knockout. We get to go home early. We put an exclamation point on the performance, but when you're fighting the best, it's not easy. Last knockout Floyd had was Ricky Hatton, but he's beat a lot of guys in between there. Bad, mentally, physically, psychologically, where they don't want to fight anymore. The Ortiz situation, but there's not a lot of guys getting knockouts, so I just try not to focus on knockout or bust. In this business, I think a lot gets done. You got to get your hand raised. You got to get your hand raised. We don't have guaranteed contracts. It's the only business. One loss will change your pay scale. I could be sitting here today the favorite. Hey, you're the champion. Something bad happened Saturday night. That guy's not what we thought he was. That's the reality of this sport. So it's about getting the win. You want to look beautiful. You want to do it. You want to look spectacular every time out. But you got to get that win. And if it happens, it happens.
Could you foreseeably move up to 205? How high do you want to go? Because I've heard a lot of guys at super middleweight say they want to fight at heavyweight. Is that something?
I think I can. It sounds crazy right now.
Hopkins on the way?
Heavyweight? Is that a goal, a personal goal?
I think so. I would like to end at heavyweight. I know it sounds absurd right now. It sounds crazy.
Jones
but yeah, he put on 25 pounds of muscle. And you got to fight the right guy. I'm not saying fight a guy that's not good, but you got to fight the right guy. So Ruiz was, tough fighter. Brought some intrigue. If he catches you, something bad can happen. But it was a good fighter.
Look at Dave Tony.
Yeah. So it could happen.
What's it going to take for you to get to that number one pound-for-pound status? What's it going to take?
Floyd Mayweather to retire.
Moving up, maybe a new weight.
It's going to be hard to pass him while he's done it too long.
And there's talk about Chavez, Julio Cesar Chavez fight. Could you meet him up at 75, 73? Around there?
I thought he was a middleweight.
160, right?
We don't know.
No, I think I've talked about this before. I think it's a good fight. I think it's a fight that should happen. I don't know what his status is. I've heard a lot of different things since the Vera fight, but I would love it. I think it's a pay-per-view fight. I think it's a good fight. And I've seen things where people say, oh, he killed Chavez. But Chavez is a good fighter, man. I've watched that guy for many years. That was my first time watching him up close against Vera. He may have some discipline issues in terms of his preparation, but the dude can fight. He's got a lot of his pop in him. He's got a great inside game. He's a big kid who walked past me after his fight with Vera. He's a lot bigger than me. The dude can fight. I don't care what anybody says. So I think that would be a big fight for both of us for a lot of reasons.
You think he's a type of dangerous fighter?
You're willing to go back to Europe and fight?
For what reason?
I don't know, rematch with one of the old champs.
One of the old champs?
Yes.
Mission for option.
I thought I've been clear about this before. I'm not ruling anything out, but at the same time, it has to make a lot of sense. It has to make a lot of sense.
A lot of money, huh?
It has to make a lot of sense.
Big purse.
It has to make a lot of sense.
Andre, let me